Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Imperfect Momming, and we have a very special guest today, Jessica Velazquez. Welcome to Imperfect Momming.
Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I should start by saying I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 5. I am originally from Panama, but right now I'm recording from Canada, which is home for me now. And I'm an interior designer. I'm the person who can go into your home and identify what needs to be fixed in an instant and can give you doable, practical tips to fix it without going over budget. So I call myself the first home design specialist because I love helping first-time homeowners. In a nutshell, mom, interior designer, Panamanian living in Calgary.
Awesome. So we kind of talked a little bit before I hit record about how I feel about decorating.
Yes, you did.
And what I said was that to me, decorations are just stuff I have to move later.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm really, really glad. I have something that I have denominated your UDC, your unique design code. You know, it like if we want to simplify it, it's kind of your style. Mm-hmm. But I don't like talking so much about style because people start going into retro or glam or, you know, like minimalistic or modern. What's that? Like, what's the difference between modern and contemporary? Like people get caught in that. So I think that we each have a unique code that identifies what speaks to us. So that's your UDC. And yours, that what you said is part of your UDC. You do not like seeing shelves or tables or dressers with a lot of stuff. Would I say, oh, you're a minimalist? I don't know, because I will still need to kind of analyze where you're from. But what you said that you don't like moving stuff to clean. So that tells me it's not just your unique design code, it's also your lifestyle. And lifestyle has a lot to do with our UDC or with the way we decorate our homes. If we don't integrate our lifestyle into our choosing furniture and colors, the only thing you'll do is spend money, waste money, because it's going to frustrate you at the end. So I'm really happy that you have that self-awareness. This is not what I like. This is not me. And I think that's where everybody should get to. Because once you've identified that, then you can make better decisions. On the opposite, if we just make decisions based on what looks good on a website, what looks good on somebody's Instagram or on the store, it may look good on or at their home on their pages, but not necessarily good in yours. So yes, good for you for being self-aware of what you like and what you don't like.
I really like the idea of having a unique design code. Like I've never heard that before, but it's something that makes a lot of sense because I'm one of those people that I don't really like assessment tests because they give you 3 options and I'm like, well, sometimes I'm A and sometimes I'm B and sometimes I'm none of those options. So what do I pick? You know, like those kinds of tests really irritate me to the point where I didn't do them for many, many years. And then I took the Myers-Briggs tests and it actually opened up parts of my personality that I know existed at one point, but I'd forgotten about them. And there was like this
release of like, oh, this is who I was meant to be,
yeah,
versus who I've been living as. So I have shifted from hating assessment tests to only, the parts that I mentioned not liking.
yeah. Well, like, I think sometimes some answers like what you just mentioned will give you an aha moment, and you're like, oh, that is why dot 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 dot. So yeah, so I do think that we all need to identify that. I mean, I've had clients that have said to me literally, so this is a true story. She said to me, I'm a minimalist. I don't like seeing a lot of things on my walls or on my shelves, kind of what you just said. So as we started choosing things and I started sending her proposals, she's like, well, let me send you what I like. And she started sending me photos of rooms that had a lot of vibrant colors, lots of contrast, lots of decoration. I'm like, I don't think you know what a minimalist is, because, it may sound good to some people. I'm a minimalist, or I'm a modern, I'm glam, but do we really know what that means to us? And as a designer, I need to be very careful. We cannot assume that we know what the other person is thinking, or that the other person understands what I'm saying. And that goes for moms too, for any kind of relationships, right? We can't assume we know exactly what our kids are thinking or expecting, or that we are being understood exactly the way we see it in our mind. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And you said kids, my brain went to coaching, because you can't assume that you understand what anybody means.
Absolutely.
As a human, like I've thought about this a lot, because it's fascinating to me, but we're not taught how to communicate. We learn by listening to the adults around us, and we emulate them. But
sometimes it's not the right one.
And it's not always the right definition. Nobody sits you down and says, this is a cup. Well, this is also a cup. I'm showing you all the clutter on my desk right now, but all my food. There's, if I said describe a cup, you would describe something very different than I would.
Yes.
It's just, but they're both cups, and neither one of us is wrong, but it creates a lot of confusion inside of conversations, because
absolutely,
we do assume that my definition of cup and your definition of cup are exactly the same. When you mentioned minimalist, my thought was, oh yeah, I'm totally a minimalist. If I showed you my desk right now, you would laugh at me. And so I think I'm more of, I attach sentimental value to a lot of the stuff that I have. Because if it's not something I use, or something that I am attached to emotionally for some reason or another, I don't want it around.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So
that would be very interesting to see what you have on your walls, because I believe in surrounding ourselves with things that are lovable and livable, and not just, I don't so much like rooms that look like they just came out of a furniture catalog, and they look, pristine and, well put together, but they have no personality. And it is the items that reminds us of maybe trips, things our kids have done, things, that we did or made. Those are the things that I believe we should surround ourselves with, because then that brings our personality into the place. And it's not just something that you put together because it looked good, again, at the store, right?
Right. So yeah. I'll just tell you the things that I can see. I have a sign that I made that says, to hear the laugh of a child, to wake up to next to the love of your life, and to know God placed them on earth for you. You are blessed. So I made that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I have a picture of my grandmother in a bathing suit when she was 26 years old. Because that was the picture that my grandpa used to always put on he would like sneak him into slideshows, and she would hate it. And so they gave us, all of the grandkids, a picture of that picture in a frame. And then I have my 40th birthday cards on the top of my desk, and a picture of my son, and a couple of pictures of me and my dad, and Yeah, so lots of sentimental stuff. And I have cups and cups and cups of pens.
Yeah.
I never write at all, but I used to love writing. So I have a sentimental attachment to writing utensils.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you probably have a beautiful gallery wall. And I'm glad that you have them up in front of your desk, because that to me means that when you look up, you're not just looking at your computer, but we sometimes look up and we start thinking, remembering things, planning, but you look up and you're suddenly inspired. And that's what I think every home should be like, an inspiring place, even when it's not perfect. So you're talking that you have things in your desk and you said, oh, I have, food containers and stuff, but yet you look up and it inspires you. And I think that's reality for a lot of us. Our homes are not perfect. Mine certainly isn't. I could show you my entrance, and my kids have shoes at the entrance. I have things that are moving into my garage and things that were in my kitchen that have to go to the storage room. But I love my home because I've surrounded myself with things that are dear to me and inspiring. And some things I bought because at the store, they're not necessarily things that have been made, by one of my kids, but there are things that, oh, I love this. There are things that I've thrifted, and they just give me this thrill that I've thrifted this really awesome thing. I have things that I've collected in my trips. I have things that my kids have done. So I have a really good collection of things that are inspiring to me. That kind of self-awareness, I think it's key when we are designing or decorating our homes.
What's interesting to me is, again, me and my love of assessment tests. Just took one, but it's part of a program that I'm in now, and the coach in the program wanted to know what our top 5 values are, and mine are love, peace, family, certainty, and financial stability. And I would say the things that are surrounding my desk would fit into those categories. That
very interesting,
super fascinating.
Very, very interesting. Yeah. Unbeknownst to you, this is what you're doing. That's part of your design code. So an advice to you and to your listeners, if you want to identify what your unique design code is, you probably can do a very simple exercise. And you go to Pinterest and open a board and pin. And if you don't use Pinterest, you can just use this, screenshots on your phone, a file in your computer, clips, whatever it is. But I tend to like Pinterest because it's very easy to pin things. And pin, like, let's say you're trying to define what your unique design code is for your bedroom, then pin at least 20 bedrooms that you love. Do not pin only the ones that fit your space, or the ones that you think are affordable to you, or the ones that you think will go with whatever else you have. Just pin 20 rooms, 20 bedrooms that you like. And it could be 20 bedrooms in a hotel, or sometimes you can even, throw in like a restaurant, but just things that really speak to you. And then step back and analyze those 20 photos. It's going to tell you a lot about yourself. If you analyze and you start going like, most of these photos have blue. Most of these photos have a lot of photos or pictures on the wall, or none. And I see that I'm naturally pinning rooms with plants, or rooms in black and white, or whatever. You get the point. So that's a really good exercise to get to know what your UDC is.
That's a really cool thing. And if money and space were no object, right? Like to go through Pinterest and pick those things of just what you like, and don't think about anything else. And
a lot of the times you can work around money and space. It takes, the ideas and to really know what you have, what you like, to then see how you can adapt them. But the next thing to identify is your lifestyle. That would be, if not first, then top 2, your lifestyle in your design code, because your lifestyle is going to determine what you buy, what you bring into your room, into your home. And this is where I like introducing my 4 keys to a self-care home, a home that takes care of you. And the first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is what determines, okay, I don't need X, Y, or Z because this is the way I cook, or this is the way I like entertaining, or not. Like if we just talk about a living room, I cannot assume that the way I use my living room is the same way you do it, or somebody else. I may love having, 10, 15 people over, and the layout of my living room is going to look completely different to somebody that just uses their living room to unwind or read books, or someone that has a book club, or to someone whose kids play in the living room. So that kind of lifestyle has to play a huge role into what we buy and how we place our furniture. And we definitely need to do some mindset work. I know that it's kind of a very used word, but it's true. We do have to get to that place where we identify what kind of lifestyle we have and how the home that we're creating supports that lifestyle and not the opposite.
Yeah, mindset might be overused as a word, but it's undervalued and understood.
Yes. Yes.
The importance of it. I mean, it's huge. Our mindset is everything. And like I look at I was thinking about my parents' house, my dad and my stepmom, and because you were talking about the living room space, and their living room has the capacity to hold a lot of people. And because my dad was an entertainer, like he liked to have people come over, and my living room has that same kind of openness, that same kind of space. It doesn't have the capacity like my dad's living room does, but it has the same kind of feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The openness and the flexibility to invite other people over. And do you like having a lot of people over?
I mean, the pandemic happened like 5 minutes after we moved here. Oh. And no, we had my family over for Super Bowl.
Okay.
In 2020. And so, we had people squeezing in on the couch, and then the people that weren't interested in the football game were in the dining room playing games on the table. So nice. We didn't have a ton of people, but we had, my family, the people that were important to me came over, and we did that. And then, the next month has been the pandemic. So we've had like maybe 3 or 4 people over at a time since then, very sporadically. Very good. But we do talk about it a lot. We're like, we got to like do something and invite people over. And because we just got into this habit of,
not having anyone.
Not having people come over. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be totally okay if you're not that person, right? Some people do not like having anyone over, and it doesn't have to be because you have social anxiety or anything else. It's just that you don't like it. Now, if you like having people over, but you're embarrassed to bring them over into your home, then you need to talk to me. I mean, not you, Alicia, but your listeners, because if your home is not supporting that life vision that you have, we need to change it. Yeah. And I'm not talking, please, for your listeners, do know that I'm not talking about a price tag or a style. I'm talking about your home can be as simple as you want it to be and as luxurious as you can afford it. That's completely aside. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about a home that supports the vision that you have for your life. And we all have it. Mm-hmm. We even have that vision as we're growing up. We're at home with our parents, and as teenagers, we would say probably things like, I would never do that in my home. Or when I move out, when I have my own home, I will never do this or this or that. Or, for the good or for the bad. And so as we mature and as we grow, we start seeing other couples, we start visiting with other families. You start going like, I want to do that as a family. I want to do that. My kids will never do that, and things like that, right? So we are creating this vision in our minds that we bring in when we buy our first homes, our homes, even if we're renting. So that home, that dwelling needs to support that vision, whatever style or budget you have. And that point of self-awareness that I mentioned at the beginning is key. Otherwise, we're going to buy things and bring couches and art and rugs because they look good, but have nothing to do with that vision and that lifestyle.
What's funny is we went rug shopping this weekend because in our kitchen, there's a seam on the floor that has chipped away. The floor needs to be replaced, but our landlords aren't going to do that. So we've stubbed our toe multiple times on the crack, and we're like, okay, let's get a carpet to cover it. So we went to the store, and it was between a red one and a blue one, and we both were kind of drawn more to the blue one. But I have red towels for hand towels. Yeah. And I was like, well, even though we have the red towels, we also have some blue towels that I bought because they were on sale at Costco. Yeah. And so let's do the blue one. So we got the blue one, we laid it down, and it was like, it's blue with brown and gray. Like it has, multiple colors in it. It matches the kitchen perfectly.
Nice.
And it was like, I had no idea how much I would love this rug in here. I thought a rug in a kitchen was like kind of stupid, but okay, whatever. I don't want to stub my toe anymore. So
I wish your listeners could see your face, how it lit up as you spoke about how much you like that. And that same feeling you just expressed is what I wish everybody had when they come into their home. See, what happens is sometimes we move into a home and lack of confidence, limited budget, not knowing what to do prevents us from taking action. And it keeps us there into that inaction phase. And then it's a syndrome that I call it the first homeowner syndrome, because I talked a lot to first-time homeowners. Then they get to this part where they feel, my home, my room looks unfinished because, I don't want to bring anything in. I don't want to spend the money. And then you're like, okay, I got to do something about this. And then they go and buy things without really knowing where they're heading, without having a plan, a budget. And then they bring things to their house. And it's what I hear a lot. I'm tired of buying things that don't go together. I'm tired of buying things and they look good here, but not in my home. And then that reinforces the feeling that, oh, I'm not good at decorating. I shouldn't do it. So it's kind of a vicious circle that all it takes is some planning with purpose, some pinning with purpose is what I call it. And just our homes have those keys, have the potential of enhancing that vision that we're talking about. And a simple rug in the kitchen just lightens up the space, makes you feel like I want to be here. I want to be cooking because I love it. Same thing with, simple photos on your walls, changing one color in your entrance, maybe one pillow in your couch. There are some very simple changes that we can all make that will help us, one, taste that win, that small success that, this looks good. I love it. I think I can do this. And then we'll hopefully inspire you to do another wall and another one until one room is finished. But it's very interesting, this business of decorating our homes and, what we bring into our homes, what we bring in as how we feel about ourselves in decorating. It's very interesting as we talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. And we've been here for 3 years, and my ultimate goal is to buy a house. And so we're in the process of, we've been looking for houses to buy for pretty much throughout the whole pandemic. And, my big thought process is I don't want to buy stuff for this house because what if it doesn't fit in the next house? And my boyfriend says, I'm tired of living in a holding pattern, waiting for the next house that we're going to move into. Yeah. And so that's where I come from with I don't want to move the stuff. Yeah. And I definitely don't like clutter. Like clutter, just unless it's my clutter, then it's okay. It's my stuff, it's fine, because I have it in the place that I want it, but everybody else's clutter drives me crazy. But that's because I had autonomy over my room when I was growing up, and the rest of the house I had no say in. And so the rest of the house had a lot of clutter. And my mom was a teacher, and you know how teachers change
a lot
their
of stuff.
Rooms?
Yes.
They change their rooms with the season. My mom has done that in her house, and I'm like, that just seems like so much work. It's like, it hurts me to watch her have to do all that.
So interesting what you just said. That comes from your upbringing. And you probably will hear other people say, my mom had the same decor for 20 years. So I want to change. So it's very, very interesting. Sometimes we talk about design and decoration. Some people may see it as a very superfluous thing, or you're just talking about pillows and colors. It's quite the opposite, because our surroundings affect our mood, our productivity, our emotional well-being a lot. We just don't like addressing it as that because it means spending money, or some people may see it as, again, the word superfluous, but it affects us a lot. And to your point about renting and your boyfriend, feeling that he's in a holding pattern, it is very, very common in people that are renting. So at the beginning of the pandemic too, I did a series called Rent Like a Designer. And I interviewed, because we were at home, right? So I did probably 2 interviews a week with other interior designers, colleagues, about renting like a designer. And one of my questions at the end of every interview was, what do you recommend for somebody who's renting? Buying the furniture pieces that will last, or buying the bigger ones, like your dining room set, your bedroom, your couch, or the smaller accent pieces that are easier to move. So we're talking about the conveniency of moving things, or the durability of buying things that last. And it was 50-50. It was very, very interesting to see how everybody split into 2. I am more in the area of buy the accent pieces, because like you, I would say I'm against sectionals, especially for people who are renting, because sectionals only have 2 ways of placing it. And if you move to somewhere else and that one specific, or those 2 ways of placing your sectional don't fit, then you're out of that sectional. You need to sell it. You need to buy something new. So I would recommend to buy, the 3-seat couch and accent pieces, but not the big sectional. Or maybe, concentrate on buying the things that you can take with you, like the smaller accent chair, the smaller cabinet, those things that you can move anywhere. Artwork for your walls is an excellent way of start buying things. And if you can, put them up on your walls too, because you don't know, first of all, how long you're going to be on that rental. And you've been there for 3 years, but think about it. That's over 150 Sundays, 150 Fridays, and needless to say how many mornings you're waking up in this place. So it is worth putting attention into our surroundings, especially if they affect us. And most people are affected, for the good and for the bad, and from where they live.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like my son was in a bad mood this weekend. I don't remember why. I don't think it was my fault, but he was in a bad mood. Yeah. I think it was his video game, because he just gets too emotionally attached to the video game. And anyway, and so we were kind of talking about, you know, how to deal with his frustration in a healthy way. And I said, well, one of the things that I do when I'm mad is I clean. And because it's productive and it gets a lot of like energy out. And so he went into his room and he started cleaning. And his room, he doesn't do a whole lot in his room. He hangs out with us. So his room, when it's clean, stays clean for a long time until he has a friend come over. And then it gets dirty. But so right now his room is really clean, and the Roomba used to go into his room as like, that was the place it went to die, because it would get stuck on something and it couldn't get unstuck, and then it would just die. Where's the Roomba? It's probably in Xander's room. And yesterday I went to a doctor's appointment. I came back and the Roomba had gone into Xander's room and it didn't die. Like, the floor was clean, the beds are made, and the counter, he dusted all the counters off.
Wow.
And
how old is he?
He's 10.
Very good.
So we kind of helped him, because once he got over the being mad part, like, he's like, can you help me? And so both my boyfriend went in, and he spent time decorating. And his room is not how I would decorate my room. He's got all of his pictures on that I had staggered on his chest of drawers. He's got them all pushed up against the wall now.
Okay.
And I'm like resisting the urge to like stagger them.
Yes.
Like, his room, it's not mine. It's, you know.
Wise mom.
But we got rid of some stuff that he doesn't use anymore. I have a trip to Goodwill coming up to get rid of all of that stuff. And but now he's spent the last couple of days actually like hanging out in his room, and he's curling up in his bed, and, you know, just really enjoying that space. And he loves space, the universe. And so he's got all the little stickers of stars that glow in the dark, and we have a black light, and he has a black light in there. And he really wanted this projector that would project the solar system onto the ceiling and onto the wall. And so that was his reward for getting his room all clean. And it's the coolest thing. And it's exactly what you've been talking about, where it's like, now that it's this clean space, he actually wants to go in there. And when I go in there, I don't feel like yanking my hair out, because it's clean and it's tidy and organized.
What an amazing foundation you're creating for him, because he's understanding. Maybe he may not be able to verbalize it or articulate it in a way saying, yeah, my room makes me feel at home, but he has the feels. And as he grows up, that's going to be important to him. And I talk to a lot of people who grew up in a home that was cluttered, and they still, you know, you can go both ways. You can either bring those habits with you or totally reject it. So, but our upbringing within our homes is definitely going to affect how we treat our surroundings. And we all need to come to that space where we really analyze, you know, if I don't like being in my bedroom, or I work from home. If I'm in a place where I don't feel like starting my workday, sometimes it's because my surrounding is not inspiring. If my bedroom becomes a catch-all for everything, and I don't pay any attention because nobody sees as I'm the only one, I've heard all these things, then, you know, I don't even feel like going to my bedroom. It's the place where I unwind and re-energize both. So our bedroom should be a sanctuary. But, you know, sadly enough, we leave it until the end because nobody goes there. We concentrate on the living room and the dining room because everybody sees it. But we really should pay attention to our bedroom, to our spaces. Even if we live in a place that is small, we need to own that little corner where we can feel that, I can be me here, and I can do the thing that I have envisioned doing in my place. Another example would be, if I've always wanted to journal, but I don't have those things near me, I'm probably not going to journal. If I have to fish for my journal in the clutter of my bedroom, if I don't have a place where to sit because I have to move everything first to then have a place to sit and write, I'm probably not going to get there. So again, if our homes is not supporting those goals, those routines, that vision, something needs to change, and it needs to change with urgency, because it affects us, and then it affects everyone else too.
Yeah. So I usually ask my guests for a piece of advice for moms, and that sounded amazing as a piece of advice, but is there anything else that comes to mind that you want to share?
A piece of advice to moms. I am a mother of 5, and I learned very quickly that what works with one doesn't work with the other one, and so forth. So I think I was a mom in different ways to all my kids, but the one thing that was constant or consistent was I got to know their friends. And I created a space in our homes where their friends could come over. And even like sometimes you hear the jokes like, yeah, I'm a taxi driver to my kids, I'm an Uber driver, but those moments driving my kids to soccer, and sometimes it was 3-4 times a week to games, and can you pick up my friends? Yes, we'll pick up your friends. And so that gave me the opportunity of knowing who their friends were and becoming, I'm not saying buddies with their friends, but familiar with them, friends with them, and they would come over. I think that's really important if we want to know where our kids are, what they're thinking. I'm not musical, but my whole family is. And when I say musical, I'm not saying just like we play in an orchestra or anything like that. My husband's a drummer. My kids love playing music. My husband, when he gets into his car, he likes playing his music. When the kids go into my car, they can play their music. I'm not that, music oriented. But I got to know what they were singing, what their music was. I got to know, the singers and their new video. So as we get involved and we make them part of our lives, and their friends, their music, their things part of our lives, it's easier to establish communication patterns with them. It's a lot easier to relate and communicate, which is key as our kids start getting into those teenage years, and their challenges and their problems become more real, because now it's not so much he took my toy away, but now we're dealing with other life issues that we need to be aware as moms, even if we're full-time working away. A ride to a soccer game or a baseball game or whatnot might be exactly what you need to reconnect and find out what they're thinking, what they like, what they're listening to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just shifted my schedule around because my son was like, I really like it when you take me to school in the morning. And so like those moments are gold. So they are
precious. Yeah. The other day, my youngest son was organizing his soccer team. So my youngest is 18. Okay. So keep that in mind. And he became the manager of his soccer team. They're all 18 now. And so he called me and said, Mom, can everybody wire or e-transfer you the money? And can you keep it in your account? And I said, sure. And it just made me so happy, because he said, most of his friends said, my mom's not going to do that. My mom's not going to do that. And he immediately said, my mom will do it. He called me and I said, yes. And then so I just felt like it, we need to open those doors of communication with them when they know we can be there for them. But it's not going to happen from morning to night. It needs to happen, throughout the years.
I totally agree. What is a book that's been impactful in your personal development journey?
Personal development. I can tell you one that I'm reading now. It's by Mike Mihalovich, and it's called Clockwork. And it's all about, I know that clockwork sounds so much like productivity, but it's not so much about that. It's more about defining what he calls your queen bee role is, which is the most important thing you should be doing in your job, in your company, and arranging everything else so you are doing that for your business. Mm. And as a business owner, sometimes I put a lot of attention in things that, might be urgent or might look good, like on my Instagram feed, for example, when I should be paying more attention to things that are more important to my business as a whole. I think that goes well for everything else we do in life. Like if we define what our more important thing is, personally, as a couple, as a mom, as a student, you name it, and we give priority to that first, then everything else should start falling into place. But if we get to do what's more important to us first, then we will feel that we're moving forward and not stuck in putting out fires.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you?
Oh my gosh, I would love to have your listeners follow me on Instagram. It's interiors_by_Jessica. So interiors by Jessica. And that's where I'm mostly active. My website is the same, interiorsbyjessica.ca. And I would encourage everyone to download the free guide, I got 2 free guides. One of them is how to accessorize your living room. And it's very practical. It has a lot of photos that show you, what kind of rug to buy for the size of your furniture, the artwork. Sometimes I go into homes and little things like the way the artwork has been hung or how far apart. There are little things that you can do on your own. And that guide is key for anybody who wants to just start doing it on their own. The other one is what I talked about, is about self-awareness and the 4 keys to a home that takes care of you. That one is also free. And if anybody would like to know further about their unique design code, about planning their decor within a budget and, in a way that makes sense to you and your pocket, then the website is pinsToReality.com. Pins from Pinterest, because I have a lot of students that have full Pinterest boards and empty walls. So it's Pins to Reality for anybody who wants to know how to do this on their own.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today and pouring into me and into our listeners. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you so much. And for the work you do for moms.
Thank you. We'll have another episode of Imperfect Mommying for you next week. And until then, keep healing. Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Mommying. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit AliciaLyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. See you next time.